let's do this. We're back, boys and girls, with another episode of the Not So Fucking Ordinary Show, where I'm taking the time to interview extraordinary minds. As you can see, we're about to dive into this particular mind, but before I do that, I want to highlight our show sponsor, Fit to Give. If you're unfamiliar, Fit to Give is a stainless steel shaker bottle, and why it's special, at least to me, is that we're putting a portion of the proceeds into charities focused on higher quality water, nutrition, and education. So if you want to support that, that's fantastic. But with no further ado, let me introduce you to the man of the hour, Nolan Rockers. How you doing, my man?
Good, how are you?
Good. Really nice to have you on today's show. You know what, I'm not even going to do an intro. Let's just have you do it.
Go for it.
When someone asks you what you do, how do you describe it?
So I say I'm a founder of a clothing company. This isn't my full-time job,
Okay.
But when they ask about opinion, yeah, I say I'm everything with it. I'm the designer, I'm the shipper, I'm the CEO, everything.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just me. So yeah.
All right, let's dive into that a little bit more. So you're the owner of a clothing company. Tell me about the name and the overall origin story. How did it get started? Where did it get started? What birthed the idea? And we'll start with those and dive in a little bit deeper.
All right. So I graduated from Gustavus in 2017 and spent about
Young buck, man, young buck.
Spent about a year looking for a job after I graduated. I mean, it was not like a crazy story. I was just in my bedroom at my parents' house. I've always had a want to start a clothing company, but I never had a name. And I was up late like one night, and I was kind of reminiscing about my childhood for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize there was a ton of things that I didn't do when I was younger because I was nervous of being judged or made fun of.
Sure.
And the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm still living that exact same way. And so at that moment, I was like, well, I feel like I'm just living based off of other people's opinions of me. And I was like, today is when I'm going to stop doing that. And that's how it kind of clicked. I was like, opinion, short, sweet, and has a broad reach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I came up with the name. That night I bought the domain, made like the worst website ever.
Of course, that's how it goes.
Yeah, threw myself into the water.
Okay.
Just taught myself how to swim out.
Yeah, I love that, and I love it for a couple of reasons. First is it's great that you had that revelation, right? You had the self-awareness to actually just pause for a moment, think about the internal communication that's going on, and then dissect it and figure out what does this mean, okay, this opinion thing, or why am I not taking action, or why am I not doing certain things. And again, you were able to drill down into the fact that it's judgment.
Yeah.
And you're giving value to third party, external individuals and factors and stuff like that. So that's number one.
Yep.
Really love that. Number two, and probably what I love more about what you just described, is the fact that you took action. You took action right away. Like, that is a big deal, and that's a very rare skill set. So a lot of people have the idea, they have the little seed, but man, it takes a lot of cojones,
Yeah.
It takes a lot of character, it takes everything in the equation for success to actually take that first step and to go for it. So good for you. I think that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad it was super late at night. I don't know if I was thinking like super well, but yeah, I'm super glad I made that choice. And yeah, I think a lot of people have the ideas, but they just never make that jump.
Mm-hmm. So when you were thinking about this whole concept of giving value to other people's opinions, was it along the lines of you, in this particular moment, was it along the lines of you, okay, you're looking for a corporate job, were you like so many people who are just graduating, they're trying to chase the dollar, so they go in the corporate world even though they're not passionate about it, and they just want to chase that dollar? Was that somewhat of what you were going down, and you said, you know what, I can't find my first job, and I can continue to try and find this corporate job like most people, which nothing wrong with corporate, but there was something inside of you saying, you know what, I'm going to try something different, and I don't care about the opinions of other people if I take this path that's less traveled. Was that kind of the debate internally?
So it's a little bit of both. So part of like coming up with opinion was I had so many job interviews so I graduated with a business management degree and wanted to go into advertising, but if you know anything about advertising world, you have to have experience, and I didn't. So countless interviews, and all came back no. And I just kept telling myself, it's just their opinion that I'm not the right person. I knew I could do the job that they're asking, but
that's just about any role, by the way.
Exactly.
They want the experience, but no one's going to give you the opportunity to gain experience. It's a double-edged sword, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and then so then after that, I came up. Or what was the question? I'm sorry.
I was just curious to know if you were able to make the decision based off of, I'm not going to go down that normal path of corporate trying to find the dollar, which again, there's nothing wrong with that because most people watching you do that. There's nothing wrong, but I'm curious to know if there was like this internal just friction that was causing you to say, this just isn't for me, or maybe it was just your only option and a little luck and a little bit of, there's no right or wrong answer. Just curious.
I don't know really what pushed me to do it. I mean, if I went back and looked, it was probably like the worst time to start my own business. I was working at a restaurant and was still job searching, didn't have very much money, and
I would argue the opposite.
Really?
I think that's the best time to start a business. You have nothing to lose, man.
True.
It's very hard to be dependent upon, let's say, a corporate job that's giving you X amount of money, $50,000, $80,000, $110,000, whatever it is, and then say, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to do something completely outside of this and then start a business. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely.
I'm not discrediting you. I'm just saying.
Not at all.
I'm trying to highlight the fact that was like the absolute most perfect time for you to start.
And I knew I wanted to, but not to like bring them into this and say that they were negative influences. My parents are just super traditional. And so we were just butting heads about me finding a job. And I kept telling them, I'm not going to take a job that I know I don't want to be at just so I can have a job. And so that's, kind of where I came up with opinion and just decided to start it. And I kind of whispered it one day. I was like, I think I'm gonna start my own clothing company. And they were like, what? I was like, and I think they kind of just thought it was gonna be nothing, but if I start something, I'm not just gonna do it for a little bit. And
that's great. So what do they think now? Full support?
They support me in everything. They just didn't understand it.
Of course. It's natural for the parents to try and like de-risk the situation. I mean, going into an entrepreneurial endeavor, that's all risk. So of course they're trying to swing you back the other way. So they're just trying to be good parents. But I understand where you're coming from. Like, if you're anything like me, it's hard to breathe without what it is you want to do. Like, if you feel like you're an entrepreneur or a business person or someone who has ideas and can operate on those ideas, it's hard to do something else outside of that. So good for you for just going through it.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
But they fully support me.
Awesome.
They kind of just check in every once in a while, like, how's opinion doing? They give me my space, and they're awesome.
That's great.
That's
great. So let's talk about some of the first steps of actually starting a business. And a lot of people that are watching and listening now, not all of them, but a good amount, are either people who currently run a business, or they are that person with the idea. They're at the corporate job or whatever it may be, and they want to actually get outside of that and start to get their feet wet in entrepreneurship. So let's kind of walk through the process that you went through. You decided on the name, you took action and created a piece of shit website. I can tell you one thing that I'm already super impressed about you and your company. When I looked at the website, I'm like, wow, like it's a very well built website. And there is, and not just aesthetically pleasing, but it's very functional. And I can tell you put a lot of time into. I don't know if you built it or if you paid someone else. But
it's on Shopify, so it's a template, but I did everything.
Good for you, man, because when I look at a website, I look for certain things, and the way you essentially set up the customer journey in the funnel, right when I get on your website, there's a pop-up. I think there's like a sign up for a newsletter. I love that. You have a lot of images, And another thing we'll touch on is the amount of people you have wearing your clothing.
Yeah.
And we'll segue into that, but let's rewind a little bit. Walk me through kind of the process of starting up Opinion.
Yeah, so the point I always try and make is I literally had no idea what I was doing. I feel like when I had the idea of starting it, I was like, well, I'm sure all those people that have clothing companies had some experience, they knew exactly what they were doing. Everyone has to start somewhere. Like someone starts at zero with everything that they do. So yeah, I had no idea what I was doing and went to YouTube University. That's pretty much all I did.
Was that more helpful than your actual degree?
Yeah. So I say my 4 years in college, I learned who I was as a person.
Okay.
I made the friends that I really connected with and just grew as a person. But yeah, I think I've learned a lot more just on my own outside of school, failing and learning from that. But yeah, so YouTube University, lots of failure, lots of research. Yeah, I mean.
What was the hardest obstacle you had to overcome as you were launching the business? And I know there's a lot, but just curious to know what kind of pops up in your mind.
So I just have so many ideas in my head that, I'll have this sweatshirt and, I'll have a picture of it taken here and it's in your head, but to actually get that done takes a lot of work.
Sure.
And so I remember my first hoodie, I was like, well, shit, I don't have a white backdrop or anything to take product pictures. So I nailed a nail into our garage and hung it on there. And it was I don't know, it was wood shingles.
Okay.
So that was the first backdrop and it just looked terrible. And there was dirt everywhere. It was just terrible. And so yeah, just kind of taking steps back before you get too excited about what your idea is. Just even with the little things. I come up with so many ideas in my head about, pieces that I want to do, but then I have to step back and be like, is that even possible to do? So yeah, that's probably the hardest thing that I found.
Okay. Walk me through kind of walk me through the design process a little bit of your pieces, because you are, like you said, wearing a lot of hats. So you had to come up with the name, you had to come up with the domain, register the business and all that stuff. And then you actually had to have product. So walk me through how you went about deciding what SKUs or which pieces to have in inventory, the design process behind that, and then of course we'll dive into the marketing piece after this.
Yeah, so I hope this helps for people listening. So I literally looked up Opinion on Google and took a screenshot of the dictionary. So when you search a word, the first thing is the dictionary.
Yep.
And I literally just took the screenshot of Opinion, and that is our logo right now.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's how I came up with this right
Yeah,
here. That is literally just a screenshot. And then I kind of started getting into, I do designing on GIMP right now.
I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
I'm not surprised. It's a free design template that gives you the easiest, most basic things to do. And
so does it allow you to insert a hoodie and then put a design on it, or is it you're designing the artwork that would go on the piece?
Yeah, so it lets you do that, but kind of to backtrack. So for the first hoodies, I just went to a local print shop that my roommate, his friend's mom owned it.
Okay, nice.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you put this design on these hoodies?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, for sure. So did that, and I just did a pre-order, see how many people actually wanted to order one, ordered the exact amount, and that was the first launch. And that was in March of 2018. And then throughout that whole summer, I just always thought to myself, oh, if you have a clothing company, you need to be going overseas to get your product.
I was going to ask you where you got your product.
And so my dumbass went and looked up overseas manufacturing and clicked on like the third one that came up and ended up just getting screwed. And so that whole summer was down the drain.
How'd you get screwed? Did you send money overseas and you never got
No.
back?
So I sent money, and I mean,
because again, this is important for a lot of these people watching.
No, definitely. It just I didn't see any of their previous pieces that
You
they
didn't
did.
get any samples.
So
you did like a bulk order and it came in and it was low quality.
I didn't even get the bulk order. I was like, can you please send me pictures of what the product looks like so I can see how it's going? They sent me pictures and I was like, this is exactly what I was afraid of. And
did they refund you?
I had to pay, I think, half of like what they had to spend to make the samples and stuff. So it was, I think I lost like $600 or something. At that time, I was just like, I mean, anytime, $600, it was just like straight inside. So after that, I took a lot of time to research and ended up finding a Minneapolis manufacturer.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Called Visionary Manufacturing, and they helped me with a lot of the designing of the Cherry and Spoon hoodie and the 3 t-shirts that we came out with this summer, and the beanies as well.
That's awesome.
So I wasn't super involved with like the designing of the actual shirts.
Okay.
I was just sending him stuff like, I really like this shirt. Do you think you could do something like this? And then sent him just a logo, which I did, but that didn't take time. But yeah, I got a lot of help from them. So that was a really, really important part. Was getting help from them.
Yeah, I think that's great. And one thing I want to highlight about the last 5 minutes is the fact that you had the humility to go to your friend's mom who owns the printing press and say, I don't know what I'm doing. And you go to the manufacturer and say, I need some help. I think there is something to be said for an individual who's starting a business and actually just says, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do what it takes to go with the flow and learn as I go. But I think a lot of people who try and start a business, they get into some deep water by trying to act as if they know what they're doing. And obviously you can't know everything. And so having that humility that you had was I mean, it's just impressive to hear that you had that. So
thank you. I make sure that I let people know, like, I still right now do not know completely what I'm doing. I want people to know that you're always going to have to be learning. You're always going to run into failures, and the people that say they know exactly what they're doing, they might, but a lot of the times it's just them being kind of nervous to explain they don't know what they're doing.
Right. Kind of goes back to the whole opinion thing, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So you're living and breathing exactly what you started.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Cool. Let's pivot a little bit. So we talked about how you came up with the name, started the domain, how you're designing and getting product. Let's talk about the marketing piece. Because again, one thing that I was really impressed with your company and the way you've been able to navigate, especially like the Minneapolis market, was like you don't have 1 or 3 or 5 people wearing your clothes and posting on social. I mean, it's like I don't recognize a person as I'm going through. I'll see one face and then I don't see a repeat of that person. Like you have a lot of people repping your brand. So tell me about the strategy behind that. How did you approach people, and how do you I'll just pause there. How do you approach people that actually want to rock your clothes?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what I did so just if you go all the way to the bottom, that's just friends of mine.
And tell people real quickly where they can find you.
Just Opinion Clothing Company, all one word, on Instagram. And then our website's www.opinionclothing.org.
And your personal?
Nolan Rockers, just one word.
There you go, people. Hit them up.
Yeah, it was just friends. And then a girl I know I think I just put on my Instagram story, like, does anyone know of where I can find models or photographers? And a girl reached out to me and was like, there's a Facebook group called Midwest Models and Photography on Facebook. And so I joined the group, wrote on there, hi, my name's Nolan Rockers, started a clothing company and I need help with models and photography. And I'll do trade product for shoot. And tons of people responded. So one night I had to go through and first find a photographer. So I went through and found a person that I liked. His name is Bobby, and he is the current photographer who does almost all of the photography for Opinion. And I've never even met him. He lives in South Dakota. And he knows, I'd say like 2/3 of the models that you see on the page. So oh my gosh, I text him a lot, and I'm like, just randomly, like, you're a huge part of this of this company. He's like, man, like, I'm just happy to be a part of it. Like, you're helping me grow. But I just really give a lot of credit to him because I have no idea where we'd be without his photography and then his connections with the models. And that, for sure. But then once we started getting a little more traction, I just started reaching out to people from the Minneapolis area saying, hey, if I send you a piece of clothing that you like, would you shoot in it? And that's how I kind of got connected. And then once you know a group of people, they know someone, and it just kind of spreads from there.
So you're doing a swap, their time and their face for clothing.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, and some people have even bought clothes and just do a shoot.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. And
win-win, or all in for you.
Win
for them too, but
and
you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's amazing. The support that some people have given me it's crazy.
Good for you, man. I think it comes down to just your character. You and I are just meeting, but you're a super nice, humble guy, likable dude, and I think that's going to be a huge backbone of your business as you continue to get in front of people, do things like this. People get to know you and your company, and you're explaining the thought process behind Opinion and stuff like that. And I won't say a lot of times, but oftentimes you get a owner or operator who started with a vision and idea, and a little bit of success hits, and that ship starts to turn. And the principles that they founded the business with are not being followed. And I think you're the type of individual that will stay true to the course, stay true to the reasons behind why you started the company. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I'm really excited, and I think it's appropriate to ask the question: what are your goals? What are your visions for Opinion?
So to go off that, kind of when you said some people lose track of why they started their company, I feel like I hit that about like a week ago, to be honest. And I've been super just into the numbers, like, am I breaking even? Am I gonna make money on this? And I was going through Instagram every night. I try and go through Instagram and search the hashtag Minneapolis or like photography, and just go through and like all the pictures and comment and meet people through that. And ran across a picture of a mom and her son. They're in the hospital, and went and read their story. And this girl is my age, maybe I think she might just be a little older, and her son is battling like a super rare disease. And it kind of just hit me, like, I definitely started this so I could give back. That's what I really want to be able to do long term. And so we just got new beanies in, and so I messaged her and said, is it okay if we give all of our profit from the beanies to your guys' GoFundMe?
That's amazing.
And she was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, of course. Like, you guys kind of brought me back to ground, knowing why I started this, and would love to just be a small sliver part of you guys' story. And it's been like the best thing ever. His name's Eli. He's doing really well. We're one away from our goal, and we just hit it right now. So we raised $330.
That's awesome, man.
Give back to them.
Good job.
So
that's great.
yeah, that's long term. I want to be able to do opinion full time and have a successful company, so I can give a lot of it just back.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. You and I feel like I have a deeper connection with you now, because obviously, you know, with Fit to Give, that's the exact foundation of why I started Fit to Give, is the giving back piece. Because starting a business is really, really challenging, as you already know. And there's going to be those dips, and there's going to be those moments where you're questioning, is this worth it?
Yep.
You're going to see sales spikes, but you're also going to see sales declines, and you're going to see moments where you're in debt, and all this stuff that's going super well can just take a huge turn for the worse. And if you don't have the right reasons and the whys figured out, it's really hard to stay on course. And if you can, and this is just my opinion, no pun intended, but I feel like if you have a greater purpose outside of yourself, in this particular situation, being able to give the beanie proceeds to this family, like when you have a target outside of yourself, man, that is the most powerful driving force in my opinion. Like, the gasoline just doesn't run out. You'll stay up later, you'll wake up earlier, you'll do what has to be done, because it's very easy to give up on yourself and accept defeat, but when you have responsibility for someone else, it's a whole new level. It's an absolute game changer. So I love the fact that you're doing that. I mean, mad respect to you.
Thank you.
I think that's incredible, especially your age, you're 24.
Yeah.
I mean, again, back to the fact that you have the humility, the self-awareness, the kind-heartedness. I mean, I'm just super impressed with you, and I'm super glad that you're on the show, because I want to be able to share it with, of course, everyone that's been following me and my network. I mean, this is a stand-up guy, class act, as you guys can already tell. So if you guys want to support Nolan and what he's doing and support the family, please visit his website, buy a beanie, buy some other stuff. I mean, you guys can see why. So I'll stop selling for you, because I think I think it just makes sense. So
I just kind of want to say one thing. You don't have to buy anything. It's just, if you want to just reach out to me and talk and just meet a new person, I love doing that as well. I'm the worst salesman in the world. I hate saying, buy this.
You're asking for the push? I think I've sold like 9 times already. You see, I'm a salesman.
No, but I'm trying to say,
it's from a good place.
You don't have to be a part of opinion because you bought something, is what I'm trying to say.
I like that. You're trying to build a community.
Yeah.
I like that.
Definitely.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. I'm trying to think where I want to go with this now. I got sidetracked from business to the mushy stuff, man.
I wanted to bring that up because that's definitely probably my proudest thing. Because the first launch that I did, I gave $5 from every hoodie to a foundation called Cheery House.
Okay, sure.
For young kids that are underprivileged, and so it's like an after-school thing they get to go to. And we raised I think it's $50, and sent it to them. And they bought a speaker for their gym. And I just, after that feeling that I got, knowing that they could purchase something with that, that's where I knew I was I want to definitely at some point get back into the charity.
It all helps, right?
Yeah.
Man, we're gonna have to team up and do some campaigns, maybe do some product bundles and stuff, try and bring awareness to certain causes, especially, I mean, it doesn't have to be internationally. I'd love to try and do some things locally here, but I think we should try and leverage each other in that regard, because I think it's kind of rare to come across people on that track. So we'll chat about that a little later.
All right.
But vision-wise, I'm curious to know. So you've been into this for what, a year, 2 years?
So it's a year and a half, but with that whole summer thing, I like to say I got serious about it last winter.
Okay.
So a year.
Okay.
Serious, a year.
Okay, so you're starting to gain some traction. You have the website fully established. Social media is starting to flourish. What is the goal and the vision? Do you foresee a retail store at any point, like brick and mortar style? If not, explain why. Or if so, explain why.
That's a good question. If I was to get a brick and mortar store, it would not be in Minneapolis, I don't think.
Okay, where would it be?
I think it would be in the West Coast.
Why is that?
I just think streetwear out there is more popular.
Okay.
You know, they have, I forget what the names of like the streets are, but where it's just like shops on shops on shops. Have you ever heard of Round Two?
I haven't, no.
It's they're like a buy and resell store, like thrift, and you can like buy thrift and sell them your clothes. But it's a bunch of like it's called hype beast stuff. So like Gucci, Supreme, Louis Vuitton, and they've like.
So you're thinking like Rodeo Drive type of stuff out in LA, or are you thinking
No.
more like Santa Monica Boardwalk?
Yeah, I just feel like there's more like
more shops and tourists and stuff.
There's more foot traction.
Oh, sure.
I definitely wouldn't be opposed to one in Minneapolis, but I just wouldn't see it being.
Well, do you feel like you would have to switch up your product set? Since, I mean, I don't know all your products, but what I've seen so far, and maybe it's just because of the time of year, you know, a lot of hoodies, a lot of hats.
Yeah, I wouldn't switch it up. I think I would just stay true to what I like. You'd be surprised how many people wear hoodies in LA, even though it's super hot. But that's like way down the road. I don't even think I would get a brick and mortar.
Okay.
If I did, that's where I would love to do it down there.
Okay.
But I think just doing everything online is the way to go. You save on rent. And I mean, my HQ is my bedroom.
Yeah.
So, and everything goes through the website, so it's just super simple.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to down the road have a separate men's and women's line.
Okay.
Because right now it's just unisex, and I find a lot of problems with, you know, is this going to fit me?
Sizes, yeah.
And I mean, I totally understand it. So I think this coming summer is going to be a separate guy and girl launch.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Excited for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot of progress. Man, I mean, there's so many different like paths you can take.
I know.
Like when I say brick and mortar, by no means am I recommending brick and
No,
mortar.
yeah,
I was just curious. I think the e-commerce strategy is fantastic. Man, I'm excited to see where this goes, man. I mean, again, you're so young. You're gaining a lot of traction. The clothes are great. Quality looks great. You know, the website is on point. I'm excited to follow you over the next few years.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I just get so caught up in the right now that when I look back, I'm like, dang, it's actually like becoming something, and I don't really realize it until now. So,
well, as we wrap up here, I'm curious to know, what are the 1 to 3 biggest learning lessons that you've been able to take away throughout the last year and a half by going through this process? And you don't have to answer right away, give it a little thought, but you know, just curious to know what was either something you weren't expecting and you learned a lot from it, like the whole manufacturing and supplier thing in the beginning, or if you just have general advice for someone who's looking to start a business.
I'd say the biggest first one is to do your research. I know like when you have that idea in your head and you're super anxious to pull the trigger and just start it, keep that same passion. I know that might be hard just to say, and do research and know like what you're trying to get into before you actually spend your own money on it.
Yep. It's a hard balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a hard balance.
Because I mean, I was in the moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I was thinking 10 different things, and then I didn't really know what I was doing. But then the more I talked to people and did a little more research here and there, it just narrows it down to until you get to the perfect, perfected craft. You don't have to perfect it right away, obviously, but at least know what you're getting into.
But do you think, I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I think this is a very interesting debate. Do you think that if you were to have not taken action right away, that idea of starting a company, opinion popped up in your head, if you would have waited a couple of days, couple of weeks, do you think that this company would have started?
No.
Right.
And that's why I
had to play devil's advocate, but I think it's important. Just it's a balance. Execute fast on the things that are going to get you to a level of commitment, but at the same time, don't go do stupid things. Don't go spend $2,000.
That's perfect. Yeah. So buying the domain was like $20,
exactly.
And then I was like, I'm in it now.
Yeah.
But then I should have done more research for the manufacturing side of things. So I
knew what you meant, and I knew where you're going. I just wanted to clarify for people.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. This is a new thing that I've been doing on the last, I think, two podcasts. I'm giving you an opportunity to ask me a question. It can be anything, business related, mindset related, anything and everything. Fitness related, it doesn't matter to me.
How'd you find me?
How did I find you? How did I find you? It was definitely on Instagram, but I can't remember. How did I find you?
I always wonder that.
That is a fantastic question. I can tell you for sure it was on Instagram.
Okay.
And I don't know if I was searching Minneapolis or are you friends with Energy Mike?
Yeah.
I think it was through him.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm having him on the show next Monday.
He's a good guy.
But it's so funny in how just networks work and how small Minneapolis is. So I interviewed a girl, Chelsea Amber. Chelsea is the brand boss. She helps small companies with their branding. Chelsea's currently helping Energy Mike.
Yep.
They surprised me with an Energy hoodie. Custom with 50 different stuff like that.
Cool.
And so I'm like, okay, who's Energy Mike? And so I go to Energy Mike's, and then I must have seen Opinion Clothing. I'm like, who's Opinion Clothing now? So I click on you, and then I reached out to you. I think that was the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I met Mike it was called a creative art festival.
Okay.
And
was that pretty recent?
Yeah, that was, when was that? I think a month and a half ago, maybe. And yeah, there was some local artists were invited to just show off their photography, and then there was a fashion show at the end, which was Opinion.
Okay.
And
that's awesome.
I met a ton of people, and that's how I met Mike.
That's great.
He is just the most positive person ever. You'll have a great time talking to him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap up. Tell everyone where they can find you again, your personal as well as the Opinion Clothing line and their Instagram.
Yep, so Opinion on Instagram is Opinion Clothing Company, all one word. Our website is www.opinionclothing.org, and my personal is Nolan Rockers, all one word.
Awesome. Well, there we have it, folks. The man in the house, Nolan Rockers. Again, follow everything he's doing, support him if you can. And if you can't support him from a financial standpoint, shoot him a text, shoot him a DM. He's a nice guy. He wants to talk to you guys.
Definitely.
All right, Nolan, really appreciate you having.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being on my show. That's the third time I've done that. But thanks a lot, man. It was really nice to meet you. And again, I'm very excited to see where you take this company. I think you're on the up and up, and I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Good stuff. Cool. Nice work, man.